Hey guys, DeathMog91 here. So, you guys might be wondering what I'm doing if you haven't realized by the title. I'm here to help you guys make a Lightsworn / Twilight deck. Oh yeah, the guy that said try Google Chrome, I've used it in the past. I really didn't like it. Things kind of went bad. I just couldn't get used to it, so I went back to Internet Explorer. Simple as that. Okay guys. So I'm gonna start off today with just the monsters. I can only think of 45 monsters off the top of my head, which you would possibly find in a Lightsworn deck. There are more, I can guarantee tell you that. But this is what I can think of off the top of my head to do this video. Okay, so let's start off with the actual Lightsworns. Arcus. He's one of those cards. Well, his effect is Lightsworn monsters cannot be targeted by effects. During the end phase, send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard. So, he's good because he stops all targeting effects that target Lightsworn. So, he's good, but he has a drawback. When we get to Lumina, his drawback is that when you pitch for Lumina, you can't target a Lightsworn even though it's in your graveyard. And you go through from there and basically you're screwed. You can't get out another Lightsworn if you get Arcus out. But yeah, that's the only drawback. He has 1800 defense and 1200 attack. He's a level 3 Beast Warrior, which is a little surprising. You would think he'd be a spellcaster over a Beast Warrior, but that's my personal opinion. I recognize that book, but I don't know what that's from in his hand. It's from, I think, one of the Dark World cards, but yeah. Okay, next we got Celestia, one of the 2 tribute Lightsworn monsters. Okay, so Celestia has 2300 attack and 200 defense. So she's lacking in defense, but her effects makes up for it. When this card is tribute summoned, this card tribute summoned this card by a Lightsworn monster. So there's one exception, I think. I'm pretty sure that this would work, but yeah. You can send the top 4 cards of your deck to the graveyard and destroy up to 2 cards your opponent controls. The only exception for that not being Lightsworn is Phantom of Chaos, because if you remove a Lightsworn, its name becomes a Lightsworn. It's treated as a Lightsworn. So yeah, that's the only exception I can think of. So Celestia, I would say run 2 copy or 2. Guys, this is going to be, right now, the beginning of this is just going to be me going over all the cards and throwing out the ones I don't think we could even use in a Lightsworn deck. This Lightsworn / Twilight, I've actually played Flameveil Swarm, didn't like it. There's the Value Swarm, the Blackwing Swarm, Lightwing, whatever you want to call that deck. You guys that have been playing it along here, you know the proper name, I just don't remember it. Okay, Aaron. A lot of people say they wouldn't run Aaron in Lightsworn, but honestly, I find Aaron comes in handy more often than you would think. Aaron has 1600 attack and 1000 defense, which isn't. It's kind of low stats for a level 4, but its effect is her effect's pretty nasty. If this card attacks a defense position monster, return that monster to the owner's deck before damage calculation. During each of the end phases, you can send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. So you're going to notice with every Lightsworn monster, you're going to send almost every Lightsworn monster, you're going to send top 2 or top 3 cards to the graveyard, which is the key purpose of Lightsworn. So Aaron, I really like Aaron in the deck because I've had quite a few times, just as you guys have seen in my previous videos, where I summon Aaron, I bounce back their monster. It could be a Reco, it could be Necromancer, it could be anything for all that matters. We don't know. But yeah, Aaron, I still don't know. I've really got to take the time and find out the ruling on it, because it does not specify where it goes. It just says goes back to the owner's deck before damage calculation. It doesn't specify it goes on the top, doesn't specify it goes on the bottom, doesn't specify if it goes in the middle. If I was a judge, I would say you put it in the deck, even though the card doesn't say shuffle. You shuffle the deck because if it goes to the top, it's just going to be continue it. My personal opinion, like I said, my opinion, I think it goes to the middle, or it doesn't matter where it goes. You just have to shuffle the deck afterwards. I don't think there ever has been a ruling on Aaron. I'll have to check that out later. Actually, you know what? I'll check that out. I'll pause the video. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, guys, I'm back. So, the ruling on Aaron is no longer legal, at least in the TCG. So, it basically, yeah, you return the monster to the deck, and from there, you shuffle the deck. Flip effects actually do happen, surprisingly. Well, at least that's in the OCG ruling. I'm not 100% sure on that, because the OCG rulings and TCG rulings are different. So yeah, Aaron, for the most part, by the looks of things, you just send it back to the deck. I don't think a lot of people are going to question if it goes before it be flipped. But people might. If they do, whatever. Okay, next card, Garroth. Garroth is one of the few Lightsworns that doesn't mill. So yeah, each time a Lightsworn is sent from the graveyard, deck to the graveyard, by a Lightsworn each time a card is sent to from the deck, your deck to the graveyard, by the effect of a Lightsworn monster you control, except Garroth, the Lightsworn, send the top two cards of your deck to the graveyard, then draw one card for each Lightsworn monster sent to the graveyard by this effect. So let's say if you got maybe Aaron and Garroth and I don't know, Lila. You'd mill 10 cards right there. You mill there's 4 cards you have a chance of drawing for. It's only by Garroth's effect that you draw. So let's say, okay, I just milled for Aaron, I milled like 2 Lightsworns. You don't draw. But I mill with Garroth, and I mill a Lightsworn. I draw a card. But the drawing of the card happens after the mill. So yeah, Garroth, yeah, from there. Garagnaroth, or however you pronounce his name. He honestly is one of the other Lightsworns I love to just mess around with it in fun duels. So this card gains 300 attack and defense for each Lightsworn monster with a different name in your graveyard. So in theory, you can get him up to, let's see, 5,900. No, that's not right. Yeah, 5,900 is right. Then, sorry guys, that's my dog. Oh my shit. Zimmy, shut up! Shut up, Zimmy. Sorry guys, you're gonna have to deal with that. Okay, then during the battle between this attacking card and a defense position monster, it basically pierces. During the end phase, you send the top 3 cards of your deck. This card I found to be very helpful late game. Let's say you top deck a Monster Reborn, or you're able to tribute summon him. He's like a half. He's got, I don't know. But yeah, you tribute summon him, you get him out. You can pierce for hell of a lot of damage, which is one of my favorite things about this card, is that you can just pierce. So let's say I attack into a Reco. This guy's at like 4 grand, 4,100 or something like that. You attack and your opponent only has like 100 life point, like 1,000 life points left. Game right there. But that's assuming you've been milling pretty well the game, because you might have a dead hand, which I'll cover in spells and traps. Well, spells. Because this is gonna be a 3-part series, maybe 4. I know, guys, this is always gonna be long, and I admit that. Okay. So we got Jane. It's 1800. Oh yeah, his attack's 2,000, defense is 16, but he gets a boost and he mills 3. So yeah. Jane. Jane's original attack is 18, defense is 12. If this attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 300 attack during the damage step only. Then you send 2 cards from your deck to your graveyard. Top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard. So Jane can get over bigger cards up to 2,100, and then calm me with like Judgement Dragon or something fun with that. So yeah, he's pretty useful in the deck, and just because he's a beat stick. Okay, Janice, the Lightsworn Mender. Its attack is 3. Her attack's 300. Defense is 21. Defense is pretty good standing, I'll admit that. It's one of the higher, I think it actually is the highest defense Lightsworn card so far. Okay, during the end phase, if a card was sent from your deck to the graveyard, well, card or cards was sent from your deck to the graveyard by a Lightsworn effect this turn, inflict 500 damage to your opponent and gain 500 life points. So, I think the ruling on this card was every time, let's say I mill 3, 2, and like 4, well, 3. You would only do 500 damage. Actually, no, you do 15, I'm pretty sure, because milling, it happens at the end phase, but each card activates on its own. So you would do 15 if you had like 3 other Lightsworns. That would be milling. I could be wrong on that. I know it says cards, but it's like, okay, it starts off, Jane mills his 2. Her effect would kick in. Garroth mills another 2 because Jane milled. Her effect would kick in. At least that's how I remember it working out. I don't use this card. Okay, Lumina. Probably one of the 3 best Lightsworn cards. She has 1,000 attack and 1,000 defense. Once per turn, you can discard 1 card to special summon a level 4 or lower Lightsworn monster from your deck. Not from your deck, from your graveyard. During the end phase, you send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, and you go from there. So, there is a ruling on Lumina where if you mill, well, if you don't have a Lightsworn monster in your graveyard, you cannot use her effect. You have to have a target in there beforehand, but it doesn't work that way with Zombie Master, which I actually learned something new about him that I didn't know. I think a lot of people overlook this effect too. With Zombie Master, you can go through and grab one of your opponent's zombies also. So let's say they have Plague Spreader in their graveyard. It's like, okay, I pitch Mizuki for Plague. For your Plague. It's like, what? Ah, crap. Okay, guys, I'll be back in a second. Okay, guys, I'm back. I ended up going through and I already recorded this, but the video ended up getting corrupt, so I'm re-recording part 2. So this is gonna be, I'm doing like probably 4 parts. I'm gonna continue. So I already covered Arcus through Lumina. Lila, you can change this card from face-up attack to face-up defense position. Destroy one spell or trap card your opponent controls. If this is active, if you activate this effect, this card's battle position cannot be changed until the end of your next turn. So, except with the card effect. Okay, during your end phase, send the top 3 cards to your graveyard. Lila's at 17, 200 defense. So Lila just basically pops a spell or trap, and you go from there. You don't have to attack. You can attack with Lila first, then pop a spell or trap, and you go. And that's how it works. Okay, Rinian, the Lightsworn Rogue. Flip. It's a 100 attack, 100 defense. Flip one Lightsworn. Flip. Return one Lightsworn monster from your graveyard to your deck and draw a card. It's a good and bad card. Actually, it's not bad at all, but I mean, the ideal with Lightsworn you're supposed to mill, but this can add something good back to the deck. Of course, Rinian works the same way as Aaron, where it just gets sent back to the deck, and then you're going to shuffle, of course. Because anytime the deck is modified, unless it's the top of the deck, like with Christia, it says go back to the top of the deck, you don't shuffle on that. But if it says goes back to the deck and doesn't specify, that's when you shuffle. Okay, Reco. Everybody should know what Reco does. Flip. Destroy one spell. Destroy one card on the field. Then you send 3 cards, top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. You just worry about its flip effect. That's it. So yeah. Next one, Shira. This card gains 300 attack for each Lightsworn monster with a different name in the graveyard. During the end phase, just send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Basically, not as good as I don't know, Ragnaroth, whatever this card is. The Lightsworn Dragon. The true Lightsworn Dragon. Not JD. JD's God of Lightsworn. Sorry. But yeah. Okay, you don't, unless you're running Christia Swarm, maybe Fairy Swarm, you're not really gonna run it. Wolf. This card cannot be normal summoned or set. When this card is sent from the graveyard deck to the graveyard, special summon it. So, Foolish Burial, or you mill it. If you have Solar Recharge in your hand and you draw into it, that's always good. Okay, Judgement Dragon. Judgement Dragon is one of the boss cards in this list. Okay, where is the... okay, cool. Jade, I'm actually going to go over all the boss cards. I think I'll do that right now instead of trying to go over each one individually. Okay, Judgement Dragon. This card cannot be normal summoned or set. This card can only be special summoned if you have... except by having 4 or more Lightsworn monsters with different names in your graveyard. You can pay 1,000 life points to destroy all other cards on the field, excluding him. During the end phase, you send the top 4 cards to your deck to the graveyard. So Judgement Dragon is one of the boss cards. Honest. Defensive boss. During your main phase, you can return this card from the field to the owner's hand. During either player's damage step, when a face-up white monster you control battles, you can send this card to the graveyard to have it gain the monster's attack equal to the opponent's monster's battle to the end phase. So, You can use you can have Wolf attack an area, and it's like, okay, Wolf's already gonna do 5, but hey, I'll discard Honest, add the other 16, make it do 21. That's how that works. So there's 2 boss cards. Dark Arm Dragon is Twilight Boss. This card cannot be normal summoned or set. This card can be special summoned except by having 3 dark monsters, exactly 3 dark monsters in your graveyard. You can remove from play 1 dark monster from your graveyard to destroy 1 card on the field. Really, bro. Actually, it is pretty. I might be able to fit that into my deck I'm currently running. It's pretty easy to get out. Okay. So far we've seen 3 boss cards. I would say I have 7 boss cards on here. Chaos Necromancer. This is a late game boss card because you don't want to have too many cards left in your deck, and you want to have this card in your hand. When the attack of this card becomes the number of monsters in your graveyard. So as long as you've summoned it properly, well, you know, if they use Torrential, they use Warning, they use Solemn Judgment, if they can't negate the summoning, this card will come out at, let's say there's 15 monsters in your graveyard. It can't be bottomless, and it can't be trapped hold, because it comes out at 0/0, then its effect kicks in. So 15 monsters in your graveyard, it gains 300 attack for every monster. That's 4,500 attack. And in Lightsworn, you're going to be running 22 to 28 monsters, give or take. I've seen, if you're under 20, I think that's a little less than you should be. But I've seen deck works like, there have been builds that work with less cards. I've seen it where it's been over 30 Lightsworn monsters. But that's when the decks start getting like 50, 60 cards, which you don't want to do. Okay, Blackluster Soldier. Yeah, this is... yeah, it's recording. I wanted to make sure. Like I said, I lost the file data on it already once, so I want to make sure I'm not losing it again. Blackluster Soldier, you need a light. You have to remove a light and dark to special summon it. Then you can either remove 1 monster from play on the field. If you do that, you cannot attack this turn. Or if this destroys your opponent's monster as a result of battle, it can attack again, once again in a row. Okay. So I'm assuming that if I destroy a monster, I can just keep using its effect. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I'm not 100% sure. So someone will correct me in the comments. I already know that. Okay, Chaos Sorcerer, not really a boss card. It is, but it's not. I don't consider it a boss card. I consider Chaos Necromancer a boss card. Chaos Sorcerer, I don't, because you need to remove a light and dark, and once per turn you can move 1 face-up monster on the field, then it can't attack this turn. So yeah, it's like, okay, JD through Blackluster are all 5, I would say, are boss cards. Chaos Sorcerer, not so much. It's a good card, but it's not amazing. Phantom okay, let me continue. The Ultimate Time Lord, I don't know how to pronounce the first name. This card cannot be normal summoned or set. You must special summon this card from your hand. While 10 or more monsters are in your graveyard. This card cannot be special summoned by other ways. Once per turn, you can special summon 1 level 8 fairy type monster from your hand or graveyard. Its effects are negated and its attack becomes 4,000. So this guy's already at 4,000 as it is. So yeah, then with Archlord Christia being the final boss card in my opinion, so there's 7 boss cards. Christia, either you're going to get out with the Time Lord. If you get out by its own effect, if you have exactly 4 fairy monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon this card when you do add one fairy type monster from your graveyard to your hand. Neither player can special summon monsters. If this face-up card would be sent from the field to the graveyard, return it to the top of the deck instead. So Christia is you can spam Christia as long as you keep 4 fairy monsters in your graveyard, which is pretty easy. Okay, let me go back to where we are. I'm gonna stop when I hit. I'm gonna do 2 more, then I'll pause it again so that way I can save it. So that way I don't lose any more data. I know I'm just saying this, which this is me thinking out loud. Okay, Phantom of Chaos comes out at 0 and 0. Any battle damage this monster inflicts to your opponent becomes 0 once per turn. You can remove from play 1 effect monster in your graveyard until the end phase. This monster is treated with the monster's name and gains the attack, the monster's effect and attack. So you can actually use Phantom Chaos to tribute for Celestia, and Celestia's effect will work because Celestia, it just says by Tribute Lightsworn. This guy technically gets his name, so it's like copycat. Well, at least on that, and on the original Yu-Gi-Oh, copycat would basically take the same card, if you know what I mean. Okay, then we've got Necromancer, Warrior, 600 attack, 1300 defense. Remove from play this card in your graveyard to negate 1 attack from a monster on your opponent. From a monster your opponent controls. Just negate. You do it during the battle phase, and you go from there. Okay, I'll be back in a second to deal with Card Trooper. Okay, guys, so I'm back.